Come and have a look at this here. This is the view. Now, this is, when you were working here, this actually made the whole thing sort of worthwhile. It's just fantastic to work next to the river like this. You see, in Roman times, the river was considered to be a goddess. So, and when you work next to it, you really understand why this is a goddess, because she's so lovely. And she tends to sort of keep you calm and tranquil. And yeah, you know, it's a love affair. Just enjoy it. Just look at that. Really, just enjoy that river. Yeah, it's quiet, rippling. You know, look at the gulls. Even the gulls are tranquil now. Just go on. Don't worry about it. Just take your picture. That's it. Look at them. Look at that. No noise. They're so happy. Okay, back over here. You need to know who I am, I'm told. My name is Mike Nulty. I worked here for, I'm not quite sure how long. Let's assume less than a year, but more than a day. I had a job working as like a gallery administrator, but I also had the music business that I used to run at the same time, and I had an office here, so I sort of split between the two of them. The real leader here was a guy called David Dawson, who went to Leeds Art College at the same time I did. But David was the key man. I mean, I have to say that. He really was the man. And that's the, all bow down to David Dawson. Is that okay, David? I'm glad, right, fine, that cost you a pint. Come and have a look at the space. Now, when this was a gallery, it stretched through quite a bit further back. But it was an interesting space because over here, let me come around, over that side, that's where David Dawson actually lived. It was obviously covered in. We had partitions in. I think it was a bathroom and all the facilities you needed, and a kitchen. But David actually lived on site. It was illegal, but hey, you did things legally. The rest of the size of the space, it was all geared up for literally anything we wanted. Painting, photographs. David did a lot of work in photography. That was his big thing. So we normally had a lot of photography work. Sometimes these beams, these are cast iron, you could actually put panels behind them so you could actually get more hanging space. When there were performances, and we did a lot of performances in those days, and there's a list available on the website, that what actually happened was that people would come in, it was free-form performance space. The artistes, or whoever was doing it, would tend to sort of stay in that area there, which is the kitchen, bedroom, whatever, and then come out and do the work. We'd normally have audiences of, say, 20 people. That's why it's quite small, quite tidy. But for the big events, then you could have up to 100 people, and that was quite normal. In those days in Wapping, there was a sort of real community, an artist community. It was very poor. There was old warehouses. There were lots of studios here. People sharing warehouse space as a studio. They divided everything up. So people who were literally living on benefits would actually make a living, just about. So this space, there was two sides to it. We had this side, which was the gallery, and then there was another part of the lease, which was the road side, which is not worth looking at these days. But that was, let's say, used for other purposes. I mean, I've been told to keep this clean. What else to tell you, you know? At one point, we had about 10 people working here on a job creation scheme. It was great. It lasted about 9 months. Everybody got involved in doing a little piece of everything. Sadly, the whole project came to an end in 83, when there was a major fire above here. And of course that damaged the whole roof. So the whole thing then was cleared out, and a lot of the stuff that was actually in here at that stage was fire damaged. So, you know, there was the whole record of what actually went on here disappeared, which is very sad, but it was quite a good space. But come on down this end and you get an idea of what it was like to work here. It's quite big. It takes a long time to walk down the end. And this is classically, it's like a New York loft. But, you know, have a look over there. See that? Do a panorama. This is how nice it can actually be. This is one of the best workspaces I've ever been in. So you imagine that's blocked off. So to this side, the office section, which is where 5, 6 people working all the time, was with those 2 windows. Now, interestingly, if you actually go down to Wapping Underground Station, you'll see where there's a picture of one of the panels that they have, which looks very like this place. It's certainly different than the time I was here, but it may have been people who moved in later and took the space over. But yeah, that was V2.
There were famous people like Derek Jarman.
Yes, Derek Jarman came here. William Burroughs was probably the most famous. We had the project, there was lots of curators here. Sorry, I can't remember everybody's names. My apologies, lads. But we had the Burroughs, there was Final Academy, which was part performed here, part performed down in Brixton, and then part also in Manchester at the Hacienda with the factory. And so it was a big mix. That factory had all the money to afford to be able to do it. But Burroughs came here and stayed. And, the story goes that when Burroughs arrived, Burroughs had a habit that he needed to look after. So the first trip was he came straight from the airport in a taxi to Harley Street, where he met his doctor and was appropriately prescribed what he needed, and he was happy for the rest of the period. So, and that was the sort of working inside the law most of the time, but actually, making sure that things could happen that, otherwise wouldn't. Derek Jarman, who was an absolute sweetie, I remember him quite well. But remember, I was only an administrator. I wasn't one of the sort of celebs. I was one of the sort of head down doing things, make sure it happens. I remember Derek's last big exhibition. Literally where you're standing now. We had a series of his big pictures, the big Dorby pictures. And they were quite extraordinary things. Not pretty, I would say, but very full of life. Really quite amazing. And of course, the other thing that I always remember of Derek's work is his Super 8 videos that was always projected here. And I've probably seen every film he made because he was like the house video Super 8, so as a Super 8 filmmaker. And all the stuff we tested out and projected was here. And of course, we had people would come in. There was, it was easy. Come in, had a look. Went. Hey.
How did you feel working in such an environment?
Well, it was just normal. It's like you just take what comes to you as natural, completely natural. This was, this is where it worked. This was the end of the 70s, early 80s, which was the independent indie days, so factory records, everything was happening at that point. Mute was going on, all that type of thing. So it was expected that, you actually got on with doing something different. So it was hard because there was no money around, apart from the final days of the GLC. I remember we got some pink wedge funding at one point from the GLC to do some work. And those bits and pieces came in that kept the thing going. It wasn't a sort of, strictly speaking, commercial operation at all, but it wasn't supposed to be. Actually working, there was people, because of the time, you could get quite fractious. People were quite, not everybody was completely stable. There was a lot of people with did bring their personal lives to work with them, which was, again, expected, and that wasn't an issue. But you just sort of got on with and made the best of it. And there was a lot of sort of trying to talk to people to make sure everybody was happy. I think, generally speaking, most people were reasonably happy.
How different was it from your home in Northwest England?
Oh, I'd left there years before that. I'd been living in New York before I came here. So for me, it was just sort of like a bit more like New York, where they spoke English. So to me, I actually moved from New York to Holland, and then back to London to here. So my move back to England coincided with the Brixton riots, which was quite interesting. And I was living in Brixton at the time. So I moved from Brixton to come and live in Wapping, which is where I live now.
So were you always involved in the arts environment?
To some degree, yeah.
What did you do in New York?
Oh, I'd been doing I started as an intern at the Kitchen Centre for Video, Dance and Music, because I'd done the Arts Administration course at City University, the sort of MBA Arts equivalent, whatever it was. And, but I stayed. I didn't come back to finish the course because I was having too good a time in New York, which of course you do, because it's a great place. So after a few years, eventually, you get kicked out and you end up in places like Holland. But that's when I ran the music business. So that came here, but the final days of the music business were here with, I think the final shout was the Final Academy, that type of thing.
So is there a local community of LGBT artists?
There used to be. There used to be quite a big group of artists living here. It was possible to live here cheaply then. Nowadays, there's 2 or 3, sort of remnants, you might say, left, who still paint, still do their own art, keep busy, most people have day jobs nowadays, and that's what happens.
But with all the changes, you still stayed?
Well, yeah. Why not?
I don't know.
The river, I mean, it's the river. You can go. We have a beach, a proper sand beach, very good. Yeah, it's a secret though. Don't tell anybody about it. But when there's tidal, so it's like 6 meter tide, I think we get. So this is high tide now. It goes down 6 meters, and there's a sandy beach out there. You can go and sit on it in the sun. It's great. Yeah. But also Wapping, it's cut off from the main part of London by the highway, Ratcliffe Highway across the top here. So, there's no through traffic. So it's actually a very quiet corner of the world.
And after this place burned down, where did you go?
Oh, I'd actually already moved on at that point. So I ended up working on a project south of the river for a while. And then I ended up moving into, that's when I worked after working for Epic in the film side, the video, moving to Moving Picture Company, and then to Carlton, and then Blackrod, and a few other people.
A lot of our interviewees are quite interested in local issues, but you seem to be quite international.
Both. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm very much involved in the local community, the business, the hard end of it. We have some issues with antisocial behaviour, so I'm very much involved working on the antisocial behaviour special interest group to make sure our wonderful police force actually do, and they generally are good, I'm afraid to say, but to make sure that the kids are getting in trouble are actually, sort of the support goes in, which is what they police do nowadays, rather than just busting them and sending them to prison. Because, I mean, hey, as soon as you get a criminal record, you're screwed. I'm allowed to swear, am I? Yeah, good. Nobody wants to get a criminal record. So that's the whole thing, stopping the kids getting involved, too far down the line. And also, it hacks people off. You get this spiral of, as Whitney had done this, I'm going to say bad things now. Around here, a lot of the property is council. It's actually owned by Tower Hamlets, and there was a spiral where you would actually have Tower Hamlets councils, housing staff say that people who live in these buildings, they're animals, and they want to live like animals, and we're going to let them treat them like animals. And then you get the actual residents who are saying, well, the council don't care about us, they treat us like animals, so why should we put up with this, and they don't care. However, recently, there's a bit of propaganda, it's moved to an ALMO, which is Tower Hamlets Homes, which is a complete new team of people, complete radical new worldview. So, well, they're trying. They're actually really trying quite hard, given the constraints that they've got. So, anyways, a completely new group of people come in. The places, they're actually cleaning things properly, Everything suddenly, it's a bit like the old Soviet Union, it fell to bits, and then, now it's capitalism. I don't know if that's a good thing. But now it's started to work properly, slowly. And so I'm very much involved in that type of thing. That's, but, I still quite fancy a job in LA or something.